What's up? It's Dr. Dupé here, Coding While Black, episode 47. Today is April 3rd, 2021. Y'all can see I'm still, I know my home state, Texas, opened up and whatnot, but I still don't get to the barbershop. I know I need to trim this down some, but I'm also kind of enjoying it, so, work with me. I'm not really trying to impress nobody with my looks. I'm trying to give you this information. So what do I want to talk about today? It's been about a month since I dropped the video, and so I wanted to get on here, and it's been something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and so this is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about, as particularly from a software development standpoint or from a technical job standpoint, but really as it relates if you're applying for a job as a software developer. And what I want to talk about is this idea of the technical interview. Okay, so this process that we go through now when you are applying for a job as a software developer has reached a level of ridiculousness. And it wasn't as bad as it is today when I was applying for jobs, but I can absolutely remember times where I remember one time I went in for an interview with somewhere in California, Huntington Beach, California. And I was interviewing with the guy, and I could tell right away the person didn't like me. And so he was asking me all these challenging questions, all these very technical questions, right? And I answered the first 5 or 6 of them. And then about the 7th question, he asked me, I said, I don't know. And he was like, aha, right? I got you. Yeah, we're not going to be able to hire you because, you didn't answer that question. And I'm like, seriously? I answered 6 of them, and you gave me the 7th one. And that's the reason why? And he was like, well, yeah. And I said, well, you think I can't ask you a technical question and you don't know the answer to? At this point, I've been in the game for about 20 years. I had interviewed plenty of people. I always had a question in my back pocket like that. So sure enough, I asked him a question. He stumbles and bumbles. I said, no, that's not the right answer. Oh, that's what I meant. No, you're incorrect, right? You ain't proving nothing by asking me some question that I can't answer. So the first thing I want to say about this technical interview stuff is it doesn't prove anything, right? You go into these rooms and they make you whiteboard and it's 5 or 6 people and they're all waiting for you to answer the question and show them how you would code this or what have you. The first problem with that is nobody codes by themselves, right? It's always a collaborative effort. You're always working on a team. You're always working with other folks on their ideas. No one sits in a cube or in their workspace by themselves coming up with algorithms and solutions to programming problems. It doesn't work that way. That's number one. Number two, for me in my career at this point, when I'm getting asked these questions, I'm like, so do you think the last job I had didn't ask me these questions? How do you think I got all the jobs that were on my resume? I've been through a bucket load of technical interviews, right? And so that's another thing about it that I don't like. What is the point of it? It's gotten so ridiculous that businesses are cropping up based on teaching or helping folks pass the technical interview. How ridiculous is this, right? There are books out, right? There's a book out called Cracking the Coding Interview. There are people setting their services in terms of helping you to prepare to pass the interview. Well, if you're studying to pass the interview just to pass the technical interview, what does that mean? Does that mean you really are qualified for the job, or you just kind of knew the questions the answer to the questions in advance, right? It makes no sense. But this is where we are now, right? These are the kinds of things that are going on when you want these jobs. They don't know how to really judge. There are better ways to do that, right? And the other thing is, for someone like me who I've been out of college since 1987. I remember going to one of these interviews the last, say, 5 or 6 years, and I was asked about coding a bubble sort or a binary searches, or these are things, linked lists, right? Yeah, if you had asked me those questions in 1988 when I was fresh out of college, I could have answered them no problem. I've been coding for 30 years, right? And surely, in the beginning, and every once in a while on a particular kind of job and a particular kind of problem, I dealt with linked lists. I dealt with queues. I dealt with binary searches. But for the most part, most of my career, all that stuff was hidden from me because I started using relational databases and products that are doing that. Now, I understand if you're applying for a job at a company and they're a database company and they're writing that kind of software, yeah, you might need to know those things. And in that case, I would brush up on those topics. But in general, and pretty much everywhere you're going, they're asking these kind of questions. It's ridiculous. So here's my advice. Not all companies are doing that. Companies are beginning to figure this out, that they'll hire somebody that can pass those technical interviews and they're still not good employees. They still can't solve problems. That's number one. And number two, you can find companies, because all companies are hiring programmers. It's not just the big tech companies. It's not just Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Apple, and Amazon. It's not just those companies. For the most part, I haven't worked for those companies, right? I worked for a couple of them late in my career. But for the most part, I worked in programming departments for companies that were not in the software development business. Apply to those jobs, right? Find a company where the interviewing process is not ridiculous and it's not some kind of side job where you have to spend hours and hours and hours preparing for it. It doesn't make any sense. I used to interview folks all the time for programming positions. I know how to gauge if you really know the programming language that we need for you to understand. Most of the times they're asking you these questions that are the equivalent of you having the knowledge to split the atom, and then you get on the job and you're not doing anything even remotely as challenging as those questions they were asking. All right? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. These ridiculous technical interviews. This process is broken. It needs to be fixed. There are better ways to figure out if someone is qualified and capable of doing the kind of work you expect of them before you hire them in your organization. So once again, it's been your boy, Dr. Kai Dupé, Coding While Black, episode 47. Peace.